Canto V. Dante and Virgil leave limbo and enter the second circle, the first of the circles of incontinence, where the punishments of hell proper begin. It is described as a part where no thing gleams. They find their way hindered by the serpentine Minos, who judges all of those condemned for active, deliberately willed sin to one of the lower circles. At this point in Inferno, every soul is required to confess all of their sins to Minos, after which Minos sentences each soul to its torment by wrapping his tail around himself a number of times corresponding to the circle of hell to which the soul must go. The role of Minos here is a combination of his classical role as condemner and unjust judge of the underworld and the role of classical Rhadamanthus, interrogator and confessor of the underworld. This mandatory confession makes it so every soul verbalizes and sanctions their own ranking amongst the condemned, since these confessions are the sole grounds for their placement in hell. Dante is not forced to make this confession. Instead, Virgil rebukes Minos, and he and Dante continue on. In the second circle of hell are those overcome by lust. These carnal malefactors are condemned for allowing their appetites to sway their reason. These souls are buffeted back and forth by the terrible winds of a violent storm. Without rest, this symbolizes the power of lust to blow needlessly and aimlessly. As the lovers drifted into self-indulgence and were carried away by their passions, so now they drift forever. The bright, voluptuous sin is now seen as it is, a howling darkness of helpless discomfort. Since lust involves mutual indulgence and is not, therefore, completely self-centered, Dante deems it the least heinous of the sins, and its punishment is the most benign within hell proper. The ruined slope in this circle is thought to be a reference to the earthquake that occurred after the death of Christ. In this circle, Dante sees Semiramis, Dido, Cleopatra, Helen of Troy, Paris, Achilles, Tristan, and many others who were overcome by sexual love during their life. Due to the presence of so many rulers among the lustful, the fifth canto of Inferno has been called the Canto of the Queens. Dante comes across Francesca di Rimini, who married the deformed Giovanni Malatesta, also known as Gianciotto, for political purposes, but fell in love with his younger brother Paolo Malatesta. The two began to carry on an adulterous affair. Sometime between 1283 and 1286, Giovanni surprised him together in Francesca's bedroom and violently stabbed them both to death. Francesca explains. Francesca further reports that she and Paolo yielded to their love when reading the story of the adultery between Lancelot and Guinevere in the Old French romance Lancelot du Lac. Francesca says, Galeotto fu el libro e chi lo scrisse. The word, Galeotto, means panda, but is also the Italian term for Galaho, who acted as an intermediary between Lancelot and Guinevere, encouraging Amon to love. John Chardy renders line 137 as, that book, and he who wrote it, was a panda. Inspired by Dante, author Giovanni Boccaccio invoked the name Principe Galeotto in the alternative title to the Decameron, a 14th-century collection of novellas. Ultimately, Francesca never makes a full confession to Dante, rather than admit to her and Paolo's sins, the very reasons they reside in this circle of hell. She consistently takes an erroneously passive role in the adulterous affair. The English poet John Keats, in his sonnet, On a Dream, imagines what Dante does not give us, the point of view of Paolo, but to that second circle of sad hell, where mid the gust, the whirlwind, and the flaw of rain and hailstones, Lovers need not tell their sorrows. Pale were the sweet lips I saw. Pale were the lips I kissed. And fair the form I floated with. About that melancholy storm. As he did at the end of Canto 3. Dante, overcome by pity and anguish, describes his swoon. I fainted, as if I had met my death. And then I fell as a dead body falls.